up your engine! Are you sick of faded away headlamps? Well, don't spend a small fortune on brand new dealer ones. You get these made in Taiwan ones. Open up the box, got nice foam sealant. They're packed pretty well. Look at those shiny babies. One for the left side and one for the right side. It's not rocket science, but as you can't see the bottom here, you do have to take the stupid bumper cover off, which is kind of a pain, but that's life. Now the trick here is you gotta jack the car up to get all the access points. And on this thing, we're looking for a solid piece of metal. We'll jack it up over there. And first, we'll open it up, pop the hood, we'll open it up. And to get to this, we gotta take all the plastic crap off. So we pop all these stupid connectors off. They're always fun getting off. You'll often break them, so have some spares lying around. I like it better when they were bolted on. But this is what you have to deal with, so another one here, another one here. They're all over the place. Then the whole piece lifts off. Put it to the side. Then we gotta take the grill off. Squeeze the little clips off. This one's screwed in. 10mm bolts hiding inside here. With a little extension, we take those off. Now the rest of this is part of the bumper inside. So we don't need to take this off anymore. Now we gotta take some of the bumper off. But first we'll take all the bolts off that hold it on. There's one here, one here, one here. And unfortunately the other one's inside the fender. So we'll start with these three here. This one, and the one down here. We'll need an extension for that because it's hiding down here. It's far away, so we'll just twirl this. There. Now we can do it by hand. Now unfortunately there's still one in here. This wiggles, but the main one holding it is in here, so we got to take the inner fender and the wheel off. Now we might get away with not having to take the wheel off. If we can reach all the nuts and bolts and get room, we can just take the inner fender well out. Now luckily by removing a few screws we can get inside here, then we can just pull this back. The bolt's right here. So with this back, we can actually access this bolt, the 10mm. It's loosened. Now we can get this off. And of course it won't come out, so we'll get a magnet. And once we get the magnet on the stick, out it comes. And we have to unplug the electronics too. Unplug them all. They're tight. You got to squeeze them. It's easier if you have a tool. You got to pinch the little tab there in the back. It can be real stinkers to get out, but I think that snapped it loose. Then with a bunch of wiggling, out it comes, the old ugly headlamp. Now this replacement unit is quality. As you can see, it's got all new bulbs in it. So you don't have to use the old ones over. You get new bulbs. Then you just wiggle the plastic, slide it in where it goes, line up all the holes. Then so you don't forget, put the bolts on first. You can see way down here, that one goes right there. And before you forget, put the side one in that little hole there. That holds the side in. But then of course, plug all the lamps back in. You want to snap them all in. Then before you put it back together, get your key out. Turn them on, make sure they work. The turn signal's not working. Well, here's one disadvantage of buying a Chinese part. It's got a cheap Chinese bulb. It's burned out already, so we'll get the old one. We'll just take the bulb out of the old one. It's been in forever. And it's a Sylvania. It's not one of these cheap Chinese ones. And as you can see, it works. But then look what happened. This cheap Chinese bulb broke too. We'll check it out with a new bulb now. You can see it's working. So we're going to switch the other bulb out too. I don't trust any of them now. It says Headlight. Almost like Autolight, but not. This is Chinese junk. Don't use the bulbs. The one that come out of the old one is a Phillips bulb. That's a good one. So we'll put that back in. And as you can now see, they all work. So that's a lesson learned. I'm taking all of these out of the new one and swap them with the old ones. Because here we go again, they say Owlite. Not Autolight, but Owlite. Chinese junk. Don't use them. Use your old ones. They were working, they still work fine. But don't use this Chinese crap. You can see 2 of these things burned out within 5 minutes. Now we just have to snap all this crap back in. It does snap in. You can see it snaps in. And the inside bolts on. This just fits back in and you bolt it on. You put the bolts in a bolt hole and bolt them on. It's just snap in. Then of course we do the other side. Just unbolt them all. Then we can wiggle all this crap out of the way. You gotta get the plastic out of the way. Then unplug the wiring. A lot of wiggling, out it comes. And as you see, I've taken the bulbs out this time. So now when we slide the new one in, there's no bulbs. We'll use the other ones over. And we'll snap the bulbs in now when it's easy. Now before I put it all back together, we'll check them. And as you can see, they're all working left and right. And that's what we want to see. So remember, forget the cheap Chinese bulbs. Use your old ones over or buy new good ones. Don't use those cheap junkers. Now we can just put it all back together. This goes in here. And we'll pick this up and snap it over. There we go. And screw this back in. Then bolt the grill back on. First the inside bolts. Epoxy cover back on. And remember to screw these in. There's one on each side. Just a Phillips head screwdriver. And that's it. And now instead of those old ugly headlights, look at these shining babies. So the next time your crappy old headlights get all fuzzy and you're sick of polishing them and then they get fuzzy and you polish them again, grab some new Taiwanese made ones. Just remember, use the old bulbs. Don't use that Taiwanese junk bulb. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Money Boss says, Scotty, is an 08 Cadillac CTS with 11,000 miles, $10,500 a good deal? Yeah, for the guy selling it to you, those are rolling piles of junk. Now, if it really only has 11,000 miles on it, I would want absolute positive proof of that. Just don't believe what somebody said. Now, only 11,000 miles, it still might last quite some time, but it's a Cadillac. They have no resale value. I'd offer them, I don't know, $6,000 tops for the car. They weren't that well made in the first place, and it's old, but you would want absolute positive proof that's the real mileage. Because if they can't, don't buy it. I wouldn't buy it anyways. They aren't that good of a car. Luciano Marino says, Scotty, Ford Flex, V6 engine or EcoBoost? Well, if you can get a V6 engine that isn't EcoBoost, get it. But it doesn't matter if you get an EcoBoost 4 or an EcoBoost 6. They both wear out faster. That's just the way those engines are. Here, I was talking to a policeman the other day, and they have EcoBoosts, and they hate them because they said they're always braking all the time. The 4-cylinders are even worse, but the 6s, if you strain them, they will wear out faster. If you can find one with a conventional V6 that isn't EcoBoost, definitely buy it. It's a much better setup. You put a turbocharger, you put a GDI fuel injection, you're straining the engine more. It will not last as long. Mark my words, I work on them. I see what breaks. And yeah, maybe it won't break for 3, 4, 5 years, but when it does, then it costs so much money you got to get another car. Gabriel's here says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on the 1999 Mazda Protege 1.6 manual transmission? Okay. Now, they're relatively cheaply made cars, but the standard transmissions are pretty much bulletproof. And if you don't mind a car that small, that rides like that car rides, and you're happy with it, go ahead and buy it. But it's a 99. It's what? It's 22 years old. Don't pay much. They're not worth much. But it could be a fine knock-around car if you could get it cheap enough with a standard transmission. I would never buy one of those that old with an automatic because I guarantee you it's going to break. Then you junk the car because it would cost $3,000, $4,000 to repair it. Jack 1 says, hey Scotty, I'm considering buying a Toyota Auris here in the UK. I found out they were made in the UK. Is it goodbye? I know you prefer Toyotas made in Japan. Okay, you're in England and you don't trust your own people, huh? Building the cars? I don't blame you from what I've seen of the stuff that English made. I mean, I'll give you an analogy. My whole life, I rode British motorcycles because I liked how they handled, the noise they make, mainly the noise they make because they make cool noises, right? Well, the last one I bought was a Triumph Thruxton. And what do I find out after I buy it? The thing was made in Thailand by the Thais, not made in England. Actually, it was the best Triumph I ever bought. It never breaks. It runs like a clock. Makes the same great noise, but it doesn't break. Because it's made by guys in Thailand, not guys in England. So you might have something going there. Not wanting to buy something that was made in Great Britain. I don't know. There's people there. I've never seen that, myself, if they hold up. And it's a Toyota product, so, I'm assuming they probably do hold up. But ask, because, hey, I don't trust English workers. From all the English motorcycles I had to redesign stuff. Stuff was always breaking. But my Triumph that comes from Thailand, no. It's made by Thais, though. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.